Mhm.
Hi, everybody. This is Arthi from Human Chapters. I'll tell you a little bit about human chapters. Humans are living narratives with a past, present, and future. These narratives constitute of a number of chapters across a lifespan. The aim of these conversations is to highlight a chapter of the narrative and unpack its connections to other chapters. I don't care whether people are natural storytellers, but I truly do believe each one of us has a worthy story to share. In acknowledgement to country, we acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which we are. We pay respect to their tribal elders past and present and emerging. We celebrate the continuing culture and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. Today, we are going to be speaking to Ciru about her human chapter, which is titled Comedy. Welcome, Ciru. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Ati, for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. First, my name is Shiro Mwangi. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, but originally from Nakuru, Kenya. I am a stand-up comedian, a host, a screenwriter, a producer, and looking to join voice acting very soon.
Lovely. Ciru, tell us about comedy. What sparked the interest? What got you into it?
From a very young age, I really enjoyed storytelling with
Yeah.
my friends, with my family, and I come from a very my mom's side especially. They're extremely good at storytelling, and they're very good at making you laugh as they talk, and they don't even realize how funny they are.
Yeah.
And so now is when I'm looking at it, and I'm like, maybe this is where I got it from
Mm.
because I hang out with them now as a comedian. I'm like, you don't even realize how hilarious you are.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I enjoyed telling my friends stories. I would wait until we opened school so I could just tell them all about my holiday, but of course with a lot of pizzazz in the middle of the stories to try and make them laugh.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even know that I'm trying. I'm just busy throwing in good knickknacks in there.
Mm.
And eventually, around 2022 is when I decided to take the plunge in September. The plunge was inspired by the fact that I had gotten fired just like a week before. I was a bad intern, Abby. Don't even
Oh.
feel bad. Bad intern. I
Oh.
was an intern. I was really bad at what I did, and I hated my job. I was working remotely, and as someone who loves people, that was not a good idea. Don't put me in my computer at home by myself.
Yeah.
I was home all the time and alone, and every time people would get on a Zoom call,
Mm.
I would just literally tape my camera and just
Mm.
be like, this is not interesting at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to find my purpose. I kept thinking, I'm like, this is not what I was created to do. I feel like that 8 to 5 life, especially remote, it
Mm.
brought out the comedian in me because I was aching from when I was like 21 to
Mm.
that time when I was 20, let's say 27 or 26, 26. I was aching to find what my purpose was because I was watching people, especially at that time when vlogging had just become a thing.
Mhm.
And I was watching people find themselves in these online platforms and they would discover that they're so good at this and that. And I kept thinking, I can't copy people. I need to find what I am really good at. And I really took time. I did all sorts of jobs while thinking how funny I was, but I never once thought comedy on stage was a thing for me. And then now in 2022 is when I found out there's actually an English comedy scene in Nairobi. I didn't know. We've only known Swahili and vernacular. So I
Yeah.
attended a few open mics and I was like, this is it. This is the one. This is what I've been looking for 6 years. As soon as I'm telling you, Ati, I got fired on, was it first of September? And then by 7th, I
Yeah.
was on stage. And I remember thinking, this this is exactly why I was born.
Mm.
And I am telling you, it's not because many people laughed. It's like two people who laughed.
Yeah.
And it's not like a big hearty laugh. They went, ah. And they didn't even realize how enough that was to keep me in the game. I stayed and I was like, this is it. This is exactly what I've been looking for 6 years. I'm going to, okay, initially I was like, I'm going to do like 3 open mics and disappear, and no one will ever hear of me again.
Yeah.
But then, as life would have it, I performed, and then 2 years and like 6 months or 4 months later, here I am still performing. And I have to say, the plunge I took that day, that had to be the best decision in my life to this day, was deciding to take that microphone and say what I needed to say. And
Yeah.
that was the best thing. Yeah.
Ciru, that is just so heartening to find, to discover your purpose, to discover your calling.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
makes me think of the Japanese concept, ikigai, where
Mm, mm,
the center of the Venn diagram, you're good at it,
yeah.
you're paid to do it, and you love it. Like
Exactly.
those three. I'd love to actually unpack that particular performance, your first performance 2 years and
Mm-hmm,
months before on that stage.
mm-hmm,
So you said that there were just there's a little bit of laughter from two people.
mm-hmm.
To me, that
Yeah.
I'm connecting that to the mustard seed story, um,
Mm-hmm,
which it just takes a little bit of a taste in what you want to do, which is enough to give you that or ignite that push. Tell us about
yeah.
that performance. What were you telling them, and why was in your soul or in your heart, why did that feel enough? And that sort of knowing that that was it, that's what you want to do next.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Uh, pertaining to what I was talking about. That exact performance was based on, I had been on a date
Mm.
like a few weeks before that, and my love life was in shambles, absolute shambles. I was just like, this is a mess. This is bad. This is worse than I could have ever imagined. And I found this guy, and I went on a date.
Yeah,
I think it was a lovely date. And then, like a few weeks later, I found out he had children. How I found out was I was in his office and
yeah,
I'm looking at this frame behind him. Let's say it was somewhere like here.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, those are cute children. Why won't you put a picture inside this frame? Because I thought these are the pictures that come with the frame. So I'm like, those are really cute. You should put a picture above them. And he goes, no, those are my kids. I was like, no, they're not. Do they have a mother? What are you trying to tell me? And then he was like, oh yeah, they have a mother. Their mother is my wife. And this whole time I was like, there's rock bottom, and then there's where I am right now, which
Yeah.
is way past rock bottom now of love lives. And then we went out that evening because I was still in shock. Because the whole reason I was at his office is because we were headed out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm too far from my house. I might as well eat on my way back. Let me eat and cover the shock.
Yeah.
And we are out, and he tells me, I need a second wife. And I
Oh,
thought, oh my God, you really think you have the money to have a second wife? Are you kidding me? I didn't know how to explain to him. I'm like, I don't know how to tell you. You have one wife, stay faithful money.
yeah.
You don't even have, can I see you money. You need to stay home, pay school fees, and be quiet. Don't ever, just don't try. So then after that experience, I was at home that time, and then I got fired. And then that entire week, just before I started comedy, I was thinking, I didn't think I could hit the rock bottom of rock bottom, but here I am, fired, and I was an intern, loveless, almost became a second wife by accident. I was like, I was about to be
Oh,
a stepmom to children I've never met.
wow.
And then now, when I got on stage, I was basically just ranting about my love life and how it went to shambles and shit. And then now in that moment when I was talking, I realized these people, the fact that they're not chit-chatting in the middle of my conversation, they're actually paying attention. I might not be funny, but I'm interesting enough to listen to.
Mm.
And that's the moment where I was like, I like this version of me, the one who can talk to people from stage and tell them my perspective on certain things.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I felt this is it. I like sharing my perspective, and I like that people will sit and listen and enjoy it. They might not necessarily laugh at that point, but I like that they listened
Mm.
to the very end and I finished and they clapped. And that moment is when I was like, I like sharing my perspective with the world. This
Mm.
part of me I like. Yeah.
How empowering does that feel?
Mhm.
A family or in a culture where storytelling's a huge part of it, but also that idea of a woman's on stage
Mhm. It
sharing.
is. It's extremely empowering.
Yeah.
It's there are no words. I don't know why people do drugs. This is it. This is
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That
You don't need a Yeah, you don't need drugs, honestly. That empowerment that you feel when you're on stage, especially afterwards when I started learning the structures of comedy, because I joined a comedy club, Punchline, Nairobi, shout out to them, to us basically, because I'm part of it. I joined Punchline and they took me in. And once I learned the structures of now how to make a joke,
Mm.
being intentional about creating the jokes. So now when you get on stage and people actually laugh, because sometimes you watch videos of shows and you're like, I didn't even know I was that funny.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Because they're laughing. This once I met someone actually, and like just after the show, I was just walking around and he said, You, come here. You made me spit out my drink. And I was like, It's my pleasure, sir. I didn't know what else to say. As a comedian, that's a
Oh,
big, big plus. So I was like, I feel so empowered, but also that I can make you laugh. That's like empowerment pro max.
yeah.
It's amazing, honestly.
That is how wonderful. Just, I'd love for you to, Sherry, to take us through the series of events after
Mhm.
your initial performance on stage.
Mhm.
And you've said that you joined Punchline, but yeah, what was it like? Yes, what have you done since?
Okay. So I joined Punchline, I think it's 14th September. I've now forgotten it. It's
Yeah.
14th September 2022. That's the first time I went on stage there and I fell in love. That place is it's extremely amazing. Like I like everything that has good structure and good everything is based on merit. I love such a good system. So once I joined, then I had to join the system, which was you go for workshops every Monday, you write new jokes every week. It's very rigorous, that process. And it was the first time in my life where I got to stick with something. I was always so flaky. I would start something and never finish.
Mm.
Start something, never finish. I literally have a small mat that I've been making for almost 5 years. Just a bedside mat that I've never finished. Every year I'll crochet like 2 lines. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is the year I finish this mat. I never finish. But comedy is the one thing because the structures there are extremely strict. So
Mm.
then I had to learn how to hone in that discipline because you see, you're not. It's a team sport, but it's also very individual and lonely at sometimes because you're writing the jokes on stage. You're by yourself. So then there's so much evolution that's happening. Sometimes it's very overwhelming because you have shows, there's open mics every week. That's what now I used to do. I go for open mic every week, every week, every week. There were like two. I would go every week. Then you have to write the jokes. You have to come for workshop. You're trying to discover whether this thing has enough money to keep you afloat or you need to go back to the village. You're trying to discover, do I become the second wife who's funny? Like, there was so much happening in my life because at some point I was like, I don't think I can survive on this thing.
Mm.
I should have never ended my road to second wifeness. but then you go on and you get better because again, it's a team sport, so you help each other get better. You push each other so far. You're pushed so far out of your comfort zone, you can't find your way back.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that surprised me. I was pushed so far out of my comfort zone, I could never find my way back if I wanted to. Because now you're pushed, you're writing. Other doors start to open because I didn't know I could do screenwriting.
Yep.
That one just opened out of my comedy route. There's another route. I started doing screenwriting. I produced something in 2024. And then you find like you're a whole new person, honestly. And you do so many shows, you realize this thing just needs you to be consistent, honestly. Yes, extremely consistent.
I love that. Ciru, it's almost that you found something you're good at, something that you enjoy, but then it's incremental progress from there. It's learning about the different structures of comedy, but attending all of those workshops, the open mics, reflecting on what worked well, what didn't, and actually deepening your practice from there on, into then newer grounds once you're comfortable in one space. What within your comedy, how would you describe your personal style? And the process you go through to even think about the content you're going to deliver.
Let me start with my style. To be quite honest, Aki, to this day, 2 years in, I'm still thinking, what is my style? Because there's days when I am like this, there's days when I am like this. Today I'm very quiet on stage and I get off stage and I'm like, that was not me. I'm not a quiet person. And then there's a day when I don't even have a set prepared and I get on stage and I kill it. And I'm like, I like that version. But I also like being prepared. So I don't know where I stand with this set. I can't lie. Like I've struggled with that question for 2 years, trying to understand what is my style. Because there's a line that Dave Chappelle says, your years in comedy, think of them as your years as a child. So if you've done it for 2 years, you're a 2-year-old. What does a 2-year-old know? They can only walk, they can barely talk. Then you go as you add your years. So now I keep pushing myself like, what's my style? What's my niche? What I know I'm good at is making an audience feel comfortable, like warm enough to talk to me, or I can make jokes about like very mundane things. But I'm still, to be very, very honest and vulnerable, that's a thing I'm still struggling with. Like pinpointing what is my style. Because I know for now, my material, where I get my content, 90% of my content comes from my personal life. Sometimes I'm very worried for my family. Like, oh.
I laugh, but yes, I feel
like, you guys, you should be very worried. Be very worried.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because then I try to push myself and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read the news today and I'll write a joke from this news. Every now and then that joke will go well. Sometimes it just lands flat and you're like, you know what, I tried. Because then it's about pushing yourself. You can't be comfortable in the fact that, oh, my personal life is so interesting. It always comes up with good jokes. You have to push yourself and be like, today I'm reading the news. Today I'm going to read this. Today I'm listening to podcasts and this. And to be quite honest, that's my process basically is sometimes I wait for funny things to happen. But sometimes something will happen and I try and find the funny in it. Like if I go somewhere and I sit and drink coffee and I see a couple talking, but as soon as the lady goes to the bathroom, the guy is like busy texting. I'm like, what could be funny about this? Many, many things. So I try and derive funny things from such basic situations. And then now I'll go home. I use this a method I learned from one of the comedians called Rana. He said in advertising, they have a thing called the crushing technique. So they take a word, let's say like you want to explore older guys as a topic. Is that my computer or yours?
Oh, I can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a beep, so I thought it's mine. Um, Sorry. So yeah, there's a crushing technique. So let's say you want to explore older guys. So you
Mm,
write older guys, and then you break down every single thing you know about older guys.
mm.
They're sleepy all the time. They're this. Just you write all these things. I feel like someone will come after me for saying that, but it's true.
Oh,
Having dated one, I should know. He slept on the phone while we were talking, so I know. They're
yeah.
sleepy all the time. So yeah, you break them down. You're just laughing at me,
I
but it's
just,
true.
oh my goodness. Doesn't take much for me to
Yeah, there,
crack up. It's terrible.
there was a small silence, and I was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, I'm by myself." I just hung up.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey, he was like 40, so he wasn't that old. But I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I get it. You're old. Take a nap. We'll talk when you wake up."
Yeah.
Yeah. So you break down everything that you can ever think of.
Yeah.
Then, when you're creating a joke, those things will inform the type of joke you write. So now that's what I use. Before I used to just write for the sake of writing. Now I try and break down every single thing I know about that topic. Then I see where can my joke go with this information that I have. Sometimes it involves a lot of research online because like there's a joke I'm trying to write that I've been trying to write for so long. I
Mm.
just picked a topic, separation anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna create a joke out of this somehow.
Yeah.
So for me, since I haven't written the joke, there's a lot of research that goes into that. I've been reading so much about separation anxiety, what it means to different people. Sometimes a joke takes so long before you execute it because you've done research for months and months and months, and the funny has not yet landed in your mind. So you're still researching. Then one morning you wake up and you're like, this is, I just needed to add this one thing and then it's ready.
Mm.
Okay. Sometimes I do jokes that I wrote maybe 2.5 years ago. And now with a fresh set of eyes, I'm like, this joke could go so many ways. So yeah, the process usually just it varies. Sometimes you look back at older jokes and you revisit. Sometimes you struggle writing the new ones, the political ones, especially for me. Relationship ones for me, they come very easily, like this. Because again, shambles. So
Oh, sure.
yeah.
That is incredible. And the reason why I asked about the process question is I can totally
Mm-hmm.
appreciate how much goes into writing a joke. To
Mm,
deliver the joke may take a few seconds, and post that may take another few seconds, couple of
mm,
minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, right? With that sort of
yeah.
intention. But to actually land a good joke, that takes a lot of thinking time. And really, it's a writing process. To write
Yeah.
about something, writing is a complex process. So, coming
Yeah.
from a professional lens of writing, actually to think about what words are you choosing, what is your sentence structure, um, all of that, plus then you're delivering it in a humorous context.
Mm,
How is that happening? What is your communication style? So all of that is so intricate. And therefore,
mm,
I totally appreciate the depth of that process and just what you've
yeah.
um, said, which leads me to two questions. One,
Mm-hmm.
when things are happening, what do you
Mm-hmm.
find funny? That's
Mm-hmm.
so in real life, what do you find funny?
Mm-hmm.
And number two is you said the funny has not yet landed. You know when the funny has
Mm-hmm.
landed in your jokes. Well, what is
Mm-hmm.
that funny when you've written a joke? So
Mm.
yeah.
Let me start with the first question. What the things I find funny, my brain works in very weird ways. Sometimes I look at the most basic things, say like what? I might be watching a proposal on Instagram. It's beautiful, it's amazing. Someone learned the other person's language just so they could propose. And I'm laughing so hard in my head. I'm like, if this was Kenyan, this would never work.
Yeah.
So I wrote a joke about it and it worked so well, which
Yeah.
will lead me now to the joke landing part.
Mm,
Every now and then you write a very bad joke, which is very okay.
mm.
Actually, bad jokes, add an S there. Bad jokes. You just write things you read, you're like, this is pure shit. I should have been a poet. This is nonsense. Okay.
Okay, Ciru, we were talking
Mhm.
about um, bad jokes, and you found the proposal funny, and you
Mhm.
wrote a joke based on it to suit the Kenyan
Yes.
audience. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So with that joke, as soon as it came to my mind, I remember thinking, this is going to be a good joke. But then every now and then you say that, then you get on stage and realize, it was only good at home and in my head. This is why we have workshops. So you can go and share your nonsense, and then everyone is like, okay, so take that whole joke and throw it away, start afresh. But
Okay.
then this joke, when it came to me, it wasn't even a day when I had a chance to go to the workshop. It just came to me like on a random midweek day, and I had an open mic the next day. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna try this. If it works, it works. It's an open mic, so we are bound to just make mistakes. I remember it worked so well. I was laughing so hard I cried when I was performing it, because then I wrote it and in a way that I read out some Spanish vowels. The audience was reacting as expected. And then I was like, so let's picture this person was Kenyan. And then I brought up someone on stage, which is something I'm learning. It's
Yeah.
actually really funny and fun. And then I read to them like Kikuyu version
Oh,
of vows. And do you see how you're laughing? That was me the entire time. I laughed so hard, I cried. I was literally just like wiping tears because it was
no.
so funny in my head.
Yeah.
It was super. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Kikuyu is hilarious. I am enjoying this. Let me see if I can find that picture so I can just do this.
Yeah.
And you see how
Um,
hard I was laughing. Because I was like, there's no way Kikuyu is a real place because this is so funny. Let
oh
me
my
see if I can
goodness.
find Aki. I don't know if this picture will be seen well. Oh,
Oh no, the light is. But can you please send
oh,
it to me? Uh,
I will send it to you
yeah,
on DM.
yeah,
It's the funny. I'm telling you, I enjoyed it, and I did it twice. The next week, I tried it as well, and that next week was good because there was a white guy in the front. I was like, "Come here, stand here."
yeah,
And so, since he had enjoyed the Hispanic ones, I was like, "So these ones, you just act like you're sad and all, because you're not gonna understand anything."
yeah.
And as soon as I said the first word, which in Kikuyu should be romantic, but it sounds wrong because when you say mwedwa, mwedwa doesn't sound like my love.
It actually sounds, yeah, it's just the way it sounds. It can mean something so beautiful.
And
But
it just sounds nothing like that. So I said Muedwa, and we all died. I remember just thinking, this is hilarious. Oh my God. But
wow.
yeah, so
Yeah.
such days happen where you're thinking in your head, this is going to land for sure. And it lands.
Mm.
But then these days, you write and you're like, this is the set of my life. You guys are not even ready. And midway, you realize, no, I need to look for a job. Comedy cannot be the only thing I do. I can't
Yeah.
make rent doing such bad jokes. There's such a good mix. And then sometimes your bad jokes, they pick the day when your friends have come to see you perform.
Oh,
And they're like, let's shine today. Let them see what you do every week in, week out. And you feel like after your performance, you almost want to tell them, like, I'm not always this bad. Like these days I'm really good.
it's
Today's
much
it's like a
pressure.
fluke. Yeah, there's too much pressure. Sometimes
Yeah.
I tell my friends nowadays, if you come to the show, just sit in the back. I don't need to see you until after the show. Because when I see you now, I'm pressured.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, honestly, you guys, you're killing my career. Don't come. I'll be sending you videos. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it goes.
I'd love to talk about. So, comedy is a huge part of you, and it
Mhm.
almost comes from personal experiences. And like initially, you said you haven't found your style. And I love that
Mm,
response because finding your style in a way could also be limiting, right? Like you are in that niche, surrounded by that box, and that's what you're doing, but not finding
yeah.
helps you to be creative and lateral and trying this and trying that.
Mm,
Thinking about comedy with truth telling,
mm-hmm,
how how does that, do you do that? Do you think about it in that sense, whether you mentioned before political, and feel free to decline anything you or not say anything you're not comfortable with, but
mm-hmm,
separation anxiety, mental health, these are all very serious topics,
mm,
that while they're serious, we still need to acknowledge them. We still need to be able to have it as dinner table conversation, and
yeah.
depending on cultures and this and that, humor is a part of that, just to lighten the load a little bit. How does
Yeah.
that work for you?
For me, I try not to even touch topics I don't know much about. This is why I might even take months while
Yeah.
researching because there's real people behind these topics.
Mm,
People forget like there's real people, whether it be political, whether it be mental health, whether it be relationships, marriage, divorce,
yeah.
kids. Like
Mm,
behind all these topics, even if you're talking about bankers,
mm,
there's real people behind this.
yeah.
And we're dealing now in this day and age with audiences that are very, very smart. This is
Mm,
not like back in the day when slapstick was just, it made us laugh, but you didn't fact check what they're
yeah.
saying. You didn't, there wasn't too much you're doing behind the laugh. You've laughed, that's it.
Mm,
Now we have very smart audiences who listen and you
mm,
can see someone go, no. And not because they don't have a sense of humor, they're just disagreeing with your facts.
mm.
They're like, no, that one is not true. So then you don't want to be caught in that moment where it's not that you're not funny, it's that
Mm,
you're lying.
yeah.
Because there's, when you're writing a joke, there's hyperbole. There's parts where you exaggerate, just
Yeah.
creating a world basically. Because joke building is basically world building. You
Mm,
build a world. It doesn't even necessarily have to be all facts, but
mm,
it has to be cushioned by truth.
yeah.
If I approach, like, let's say that separation anxiety, the truth is that I experience it.
Mm,
That's my truth.
mm,
And the other truth is it exists. This isn't a from nowhere topic. It
mm,
exists and I experience it or anxiety in any other form. So that can be the cushion.
yeah.
And then the world you build around it, that's on you as a creator.
Mm,
Create the world,
mm,
but it be cushioned by truth.
yeah.
So that even in politics, sometimes I can count on one hand how many political jokes I've done, or like two hands maximum.
Mm,
And it never for me digs too deep. Basically because A, like I mentioned, I really struggle writing political jokes.
mm,
But B, in the kind of landscape we're in now, you want to be very careful because yes, there's
mm,
freedom of speech, but to what extent are
yeah.
you free?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want my friends tweeting hashtag justice for Shirumwangi. I don't want that. No.
Mm,
So I'm very like careful. I remember there's someone who reached out to me recently and he was like, I need you to write for me some like 5 to 7 suicide jokes. See your eyes? That was
yeah.
me. Because
No.
I was like, no, he said 5 to 7 jokes that can uplift someone who's suicidal. And I said, I'm going to stop you right there because I don't, A, I have very little contact with that topic,
Mm,
whether it be personal or anyone around me.
mm,
So my insight on that is basically hearsay and anything I will read on the internet.
mm,
And that's also a very touchy subject. You don't want to just jump in. I'm like, let me make you laugh with my 5 to 7 jokes. No, you, these are very sensitive topics because if you want to approach them, these are topics we say you have to be funny before you are offensive.
mm.
People need to burst out laughing
Yeah.
before they can say, oh.
But
And
also,
that takes a lot of tact.
Yeah, but also what sort of a space are they in to be able to find something funny, you actually need to be in that
Mhm.
cognitive space. But
Exactly.
when something's going on, that's that's a hard one to, yeah, it's
And then I always see, when I was younger, I used to just be a very big people pleaser.
mm,
Now that I'm a bit older, I sound so old. I'm only 28. I'll be 29 in a month. But the wisdom I have amassed is the one thing I can say I have gotten from the empowerment of comedy is I don't need to please anyone.
yeah.
Because younger me would have really tried to see how can I
Mm,
do this. But then older me is like, I'm sorry, it's a no for me.
mm,
Because some things are so sensitive, and I'm honest enough to say I'm only 2 years in. I barely know my comedic style.
mm,
So there's no way, and I don't have the tact to approach certain topics. There are
mm,
people who will touch even on death, and you will laugh. You're going to laugh your head off
mm,
because it takes years of experience to know how to approach certain topics.
mm,
I'm wise enough to know when to say my career, or rather my experience, is up
mm,
to here.
yeah.
That topic that you need to talk about needs experience that is here.
Mm,
And there's no way I will compromise myself just to try and help you. No, because even you at work, there's things you know, I'm good at this.
mm,
This, I'm not touching. Like for me, accounting, anything numbers, listen, I'm out of the equation. Today I tried to do my budgeting. I was like, I don't like these numbers. I just switched off my calculator and I stopped.
yeah.
Because for me, numbers is, ugh, I don't want it. I don't want it. But I'm vulnerable enough to say, I don't have the experience for
Mm,
this. I'm willing to learn,
mm,
but I don't have it yet.
yeah.
So for like, so now you, how you were saying, like, for my style, I like that I haven't found it yet as well, because
Mm,
then it pushes me to explore different things. Today I'm this, tomorrow I'm this.
yeah.
But I have to admit, like, comedy is such a lonely journey, Arthi. It's such a lonely journey. Like, it has moments when you're on stage and people are laughing and all that.
Mm,
No one sees those moments after stage when you get off stage and you've done well
mm,
or badly or however.
mm.
There's always a voice here in the back of your ear that's telling you that wasn't it. And it's the worst thing. Oh, you go through such a depressive state, like for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how your performance went. There's like an imposter syndrome that kicks in just before and right after. And
Mm,
you have to learn how to balance those things. And they're very difficult to balance.
mm.
But then again, it pushes you. Because for someone like me who hasn't found their style, you have to keep exploring so many things.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, Shiru. Just before we were talking about somebody can be talking about death and you can laugh. Sorry, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going back a little bit. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
type of person that sees the funny, but
Mm-hmm.
also has reservations in laughing purely for
Mm-hmm.
what you brought up is that there are real people behind these themes that are going
Mm-hmm.
through life at this point. We have no
Mm-hmm.
idea what's happening to them, but
Yeah.
able to deliver a joke that is not so much politically correct, but that's respectful. That art
Mm-hmm.
of respect, the fun, and somebody actually resonating with it from personal experience, whatever it is, that is,
Mm-hmm.
I think, one of the most difficult things.
Yeah.
And someone that I love really listening to is Trevor Noah and Dave
Mm-hmm.
Chappelle. And just the other day, a lovely friend of mine sent me a podcast by Trevor Noah. I don't know if you probably have come across it. It's What's
Mm-hmm.
Next or something like that. And it was
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Noah in conversation with Lupita Nyong'o and
Mm-hmm.
a British Nigerian. I can't, but they were like three different African nations having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I was just crying with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much. truth telling in that, but in a comical way, but actually addressing lots of those sensitive points. In a
Yeah.
culture where the female has been told, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say this, and how dare you even bring up this point? It was just
Mm,
so much of it resonates in a
yeah.
few ways. It's been part of our childhood, really. But then
Mm,
listening to them and going, that storytelling, and oh, come here for a coffee and mandazi, and this is when we're going to say,
yeah.
talk about
Mm,
these important things. Like, that was just really interesting to me in
mm,
people deliver it. And obviously, you can't get it right all the time. You learn from your mistakes, and you
yeah.
and you learn from those reflections, which is the beauty of it. But yeah, the again, appreciation for the process in why it's important
Mm,
to research topics, especially the ones that the younger generations are facing too quickly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. There's a thing also that I had to make peace with very quickly,
Mm,
which is it's a quote I had from Rick Rubin. He's
mm,
genius, and he said, "When you're creating, the audience comes last." Because again, as a creator, if you keep thinking how best to accommodate the audience, that limits your creativity.
mm.
Because now you're trying to accommodate each and every person's needs.
Yeah.
When really your process should be, how best can I deliver this joke?
Mm,
Because there's no one day, despite the type of joke, you might make a joke about this mug.
mm,
This mug has nothing offensive about it. You might make a joke about it. Someone somewhere in the audience is a mug activist,
mm.
and they don't like that you made fun of a mug, despite all the many things it does for us day in, day out.
Yeah.
And, and you're just sitting there thinking, it was a mug. How
Mm.
can you be offended by a mug? There's no one time when everyone 100% will be like,
Yeah.
so now, yeah, because the best you can do as a creator is just create from the most authentic, truthful,
Mm.
genuine place in your heart, because then the audience will see it. Someone who may not like it will try even complaining to someone else. They'll be like, no, we loved it. You have your own problems. Because they read the authenticity from you and they could see this person was not malicious. The
Mm,
audience also can see when you're being malicious. If you come up there and you're like, married people are shit,
mm.
this, you have nothing. This is just pure malice and bitterness.
Yeah.
But if you come up with your own perspective, which is genuinely and authentically your perspective,
Yeah.
I'm sure after these things you look at and you're like, I'm pretty sure this. Like your perspective on things
Mm.
is yours. Like it's genuinely Afi. So when you share it, anyone who's listening to you will think that's actually true. She believes that and we like it. But if you're just ranting and
Mm.
running your mouth, and people can sense the ingenuine energy and they can tell this is just bitter or this is just not true. Or so with whatever topic, as sensitive as it may be, like I always say, like let's say a male comedian tries to talk about menstruation.
Mm.
I'm always like, it honestly would depend on how genuine. Sometimes how people would make a dark joke, it's really dark, and guys are laughing.
Mm.
It's because the person delivering truly believes in what they're saying.
Yeah.
They know that the funeral made them feel this,
Mm.
and the audience can see this is genuinely how so and so felt. And they're laughing with you because they can tell it's genuinely your opinion. But if you get up there and you're just like shitting on funerals and saying, I don't know what,
Mm.
guys will just be like, listen, we can see how not true or how not authentic this story is. And
Mm.
we're not going to laugh with you there. We'll just let you enjoy the crickets and get off
Yeah.
stage when you're done.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's that, yeah, authenticity that comes with
mm,
it. And
yeah,
then it's really yours to bear and to deliver.
yeah,
Yeah.
mm,
Shiru,
yeah.
thank you so much for such a wonderful conversation.
Ah, you're so
Was
welcome.
it? first comedian I've talked to on Human
Are
Chat.
you serious?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm so honored.
it is absolutely lovely just listening to what got you into comedy, talking
Mm,
about comedy itself, a subject or an activity I appreciate, but I'm also
yeah.
reserved about for the very,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's always different talking to the person themselves,
Mm.
doing it. Is before we do wrap up, is there anything that you have wanted to share that I haven't asked you about? Something you'd like the audience to take away?
I even wrote them down.
Yes.
Like the comedian I am, I always have a pen, a paper, a notebook. You should see my desk. It's just
So good.
chaos.
Love stationery.
Yeah, me too. I'm at that point where a good fine point pen
Yes.
will do it for me. So you asked five main takeaways. My first one is be kind.
Mm.
I've realized kindness will get you through every door, but also will just make you a better human.
Yeah.
My second one is be free. That point means no one, and forgive my friend, gives a shit. Like, just be free, do you, enjoy your life to the very fullest. Life is so precious. People don't understand that every moment when you're alive, someone somewhere has passed away.
Mm.
Every day when you wake up, someone somewhere passed away while you were asleep or when you just woke up.
Mm.
You need to be free enough to enjoy life, enjoy every moment. You don't have to be traveling the world to enjoy it. You can enjoy it right where you are, but also save your money and travel the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be free. The next one is keep your inner child alive. That child will help you navigate a lot of things, get you to trouble as well, but it's a good thing to
Out
keep
of it.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fourth one is try new things. That's where you will find most of your joy.
Mm.
And the last one is self love will heal you.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
that's
Those
so
are my takeaways.
I love it. Thank you so much, Shiro, for just being you. That's your style.
It
Just hey,
is.
I
I
start
might
with
know
me.
my style might be you. By
Um,
the time your viewers are watching this, it is no longer Christmas. This is just me refusing, absolutely refusing to let go of the tree.
hey, I am looking at my tree in the living room. Just yeah.
Ah,
So we're in good
oh,
company.
yes,
Um,
yes. Thank
no,
you for having me. This is such an honor.
you are very welcome. It's been wonderful to share this conversation with you, have you share your
Yeah,
chapter. For everyone that's listening or that will be listening to this Human Chapters conversation, please share it. I'm not great with
yes,
marketing. I just do my little bit at the end to say Human Chapters is available on YouTube, on podcast,
yeah,
and the Facebook page. But these conversations really do matter. So yes, please share
yeah.
you like.
Thank you so much. We shall share. I can't wait to see the full episode. I feel like if we had time, we'd have talked for hours.
That's it. Yes,
Yeah, I hope to meet you one day in person.
absolutely. I'll end this
Yeah.
one and then we'll chat. Thanks,
So
guys.
thank you. Bye.